Most people think a near death experience ends the moment your heart starts beating again, but for many experiencers, that's when the haunting begins. They come back different, sensitive in ways they can't explain, aware of things they shouldn't know, seeing shapes in doorways, feeling presences in empty rooms, dreaming about events before they happen, as if dying woke up a part of them that was supposed to stay asleep. Tonight, we explore what happens when you return from the other side with your eyes still half opened. I am Candy, and this is Half Haunted Chronicles. After a near death experience, something shifts. Lights feel brighter, shadows feel heavier, silent rooms feel occupied. People's emotions become loud, loud enough to feel, not just sense. Doctors call it post traumatic sensitivity. Researchers call it PSI enhancement. Experiencers call it something else, second sight. But in awareness, like the world has layers and you learned how to see two at once. And once it wakes up, it doesn't go back to sleep. Here are some of those stories when the bell follows you home. The man who saw the light at every bedside. A man named Jonas survived a near fatal accident. When he came home from the hospital, he kept seeing small glowing spheres floating near people's beds just before they died. At first, he thought it was exhaustion, grief, or trauma until he visited his grandmother's nursing home. He walked past a stranger's room and saw a white orb hovering near the pillow, soft, pulsating, and warm. The man died that night. A week later, Jonas saw another light over a young woman's hospital bed. She passed away within hours. He wasn't seeing ghosts, he was seeing transitions. Jonas eventually said, I don't see death. I see the movement before it. The woman who began hearing names in her dreams. After a drowning accident, a woman named Claire started dreaming of names, first names, full names, sometimes whispered, sometimes spoken clearly. She wrote them down. At first, they meant nothing. Then one morning, she turned on the news and saw one of the names on her list, a missing person, later found deceased. Another name matched an obituary 3 towns over. Another belonged to a coworker's father she had never met. Claire said it wasn't predicting death, it was like hearing roll call from the other side. Eventually, she stopped writing down the names, but they kept coming anyway. The shadow that watched from the hallway. Michael was 23 when he overdosed and flatlined for 3 minutes. After his near-death experience, he felt watched at night, not threatened, not harmed, but observed. He would wake at exactly 3:11 a.m., the exact time he coded, to see a tall, dark silhouette standing in the hall. No face, no eyes, just a shape. He said it always leaned slightly as if listening. When he yelled or turned on the light, it vanished instantly. A psychiatrist told him it was trauma. A spiritual advisor told him it was a guardian. Michael said, it wasn't there to hurt me. It was there to remind me that death didn't finish the conversation. The child who knew too much. 8-year-old Brooke nearly died from an allergic reaction. After that, she began finishing people's sentences, not by interrupting, but by answering thoughts they hadn't spoken out loud. Her parents noticed her staring at corners as if someone else was standing there. At school, she'd ask teachers, why is the sad man standing behind you? There was never anyone there. But later, her teacher confided that she had been grieving her brother. Brooke described him perfectly. Down to the color of his flannel shirt, she had never met him, and her teacher had never spoken about him. Brooke's mother said she came back with one foot still over there. The woman who felt the air change. After a surgical near-death experience, a woman named Alina developed an ability she called the pressure shift. She could tell when someone walked into a room without hearing or seeing them. She could sense when someone was lying. The air felt sharp, she said. She could sense illness. People with cancer and chronic illnesses felt dimmer. The most unsettling, though, she could sense death approaching, not with fear, not with sadness, just a shift, as if the air exhaled before the person did. She began volunteering at hospice because she wanted to help people transition peacefully. She didn't choose the ability, she said. It chose me. Second sight isn't glamorous. It's not about predicting the lottery or reading minds like a movie. It's quiet, unwanted, and often overwhelming. It's the burden of being aware when everyone else is comfortable being unaware. People who come back from death aren't haunted by the other side. They're haunted by how close it still is. They walk through life with one sense open that most people never develop. And the truth, most of them don't want it. They don't want to see orbs or hear names or feel pressure shifts or sense shadows in the hallways. They just want to be normal again. But the other side, once glimpsed, doesn't let go easily. And maybe that second sight isn't a curse, it's a reminder that the world is layered and we usually live on just one thin level of it. Tonight, we explored what happens after near death experiences when people carry the other side back with them into ordinary life. But next time, we go deeper into the intersection between the living and the dead, shared visions, synchronicities, signs, and the eerie, impossible moments that bind near death experiencers together even when they never met. Until then, stay curious and always, always stay haunted.